Who'd have thought I'd have been saying this? Selection dilemma involving Mason Mount and Joshua Zirkzee in favour of both of them players, ahead of Manchester United's blockbuster summer signings. It is absolutely crazy what a week in football can do. Manchester United fans on a high this morning, 1st of December as well. We are now 1 month away from that transfer window opening. I'm going to bring you the news on the transfers, who Ruben Amorim has said and given the green light to come in January, and the news on that. But more importantly, we're starting this show this morning with the aftermath, which was a complete turnaround for Manchester United yesterday, and a morale boosting, confidence boosting for most Manchester United players result against Crystal Palace. It was absolutely brilliant to see some character back in Man United's side. If you were with us yesterday, you would have seen me and James jumping around the studio, bouncing around as Joshua Zirkzee and Mason Mount staked a claim for Rúben Amorim's starting lineup ahead of, like I said, them bigger players now. We're talking Matheus Cunha coming back from injury this week, and a player that we thought we desperately needed in this side to continue going forward this season. Now we're talking about Joshua Zirkzee's second half performance and Mason Mount's performance this season ahead of Matheus Cunha. It is a realistic dilemma for Rúben Amorim right now, because stat-wise, Mason Mount has performed better than Matheus Cunha this season. If you wanted to go into details on stats as well, if you think that they are more important, and this is where I always say, don't always look at the stats, because on paper, Zirkzee is better than Cunha. Yes, let that sink in. He is better than Cunha this season. He's not, is he? So don't always look at the stats. Don't always look at that ridiculous record. I said it before the game, didn't I? Against Crystal Palace. I got absolutely slaughtered last week, and I was there for the taking. I totally held my hands up and said, look, I'm not backing Rúben Amorim. You can have a go at me for trying to stake a claim, really, for why he stays at Manchester United. And everyone did. A lot of people did. Some were backing my side as well. But I said, didn't I? Before the game, first thing I said before Crystal Palace was, if United did pull this off and got the reaction, which I said we would bring, I was really worried after the first half, I'll admit that. And then that reaction came in the second half. All of a sudden, it's 1 defeat in 7. And it looks completely different. And the narrative now moves towards Manchester United beating West Ham at home to move back into the top 4. It's a crazy world, isn't it, the Premier League? This season it is wide open, and it is open for anybody to make a real move. Look at Brighton, for God's sake, all of a sudden right up there now. Who'd have thought that them, after being smashed by Manchester United and struggling in the early parts of the season, everyone going on against Baleba, and then obviously yesterday that changed again. It is a mad, mad season. But Manchester United, I think, is crazier than anybody else's. And what we need to discuss this morning is whether or not that performance in the second half yesterday proved that Rúben Amorim is getting a tune out of these players and they are reacting to him, because they definitely looked a different side after the half-time team talk. You've got to admit. So I was worried at first. It didn't look like anything had changed. Kaz was talking to me saying it looked like they definitely came out with a bit more vigour and a bit more, it was like a bit more bit between the teeth. They were going for it. It looked a different Manchester United side in the second half. The goal changed everything, and goals do change games. The creativity of Bruno, no one will want to talk about because we need to sell him in the summer. Let's forget about the 2 more assists and some intelligent football from Bruno in the second half because we don't want him. There could be plenty of people talking about that again this morning, which is why Bruno Fernandes is the impossible player to replace. That aside, that's a different argument altogether, and that will probably wind people up as well today. But Zirkzee and Mount. Let's concentrate on that for starters right now, because Ruben went in at half-time and I was thinking, this is over. I tweeted it out. I'm not going to hide away from my feelings at half-time. I know what I watch and I react to what I'm watching. It was the same against Everton. It was absolutely awful. And I'm not getting carried away with the performance. It was the character and the result that was all the be-all and end-all from that game yesterday. And 2 players in Mount and Joshua Zirkzee stood up above everybody else in that second half for me. And 2 players that have been, let's just say, under criticism, heavy criticism from every single Manchester United fan. Zirkzee, I mean, after Everton, get out of here. Gone. After the first half against Crystal Palace, sub him off. Words out of my mouth. Again, that's how I thought every single Man United fan were looking at that yesterday. But what you've got to look at there is, and if you want to really drive a negative and look at, yes, the performance wasn't great, that's fine because it wasn't, and I'm not getting carried away like I said, but Rúben Amorim getting a reaction out of Zirkzee has to be the biggest positive that we've had so far this season. And there's been plenty, don't get me wrong, the where we are in the league and boom, all the signings and the whole culture of Manchester United changing. This is big, but Rúben getting something out of Zirkzee after that game and a half that he provided against Everton in the first half against Crystal Palace cannot go unnoticed. The game management yesterday will go unnoticed, but needs to be spoken about. Again, I'm finding other things creeping in here as I'm talking about Zirkzee. The performance from him proved yesterday that they believe in what Rúben Amorim is doing and they believe what Rúben Amorim is saying. They have to, because that was Jekyll and Hyde. It really was. They got a rollicking at half-time. They must have. Zirkzee came out and won every single ball in the hair. I could not believe what I was watching. I'm not going to get carried away by a half of football. I don't think Joshua Zirkzee is the future of Manchester United. But in this moment, where we are right now, does a player deserve to be in the starting lineup the week after a performance like that, ahead of a multi-million-pound signing in Matheus Cunha? I think he probably warrants a place in that starting lineup, Joshua Zirkzee, after what he did yesterday. I think he deserved it. I think what Rúben Amorim said in the press conference afterwards was even more crucial, I think. He played it down so much. It's like, we have not done anything here. We have not done anything to prove to anybody that we are there and ready to compete again. What we got yesterday was a reaction that was necessary, that was needed. And without it, you know the conversation on where people would have been talking this morning and throughout this week leading up to West Ham, that press conference on Tuesday, Thursday, whenever it is this week. I'll keep you updated with that, by the way, ahead of Thursday's game. But you know it would have been horrible, negative toxicity at the highest level going into West Ham if we'd have carried on playing the way we played in the first half against Palace. But Zirkzee there, I think, in that game, proved in winning every single one of them balls in the air, linking up play, the goal itself, the way he took it. What a finish. An absolute rocket into the corner. Brilliant finishes from Manchester United yesterday. And I think, like Ruben said, it wasn't the goal. The goal was just one thing for Joshua Zirkzee. Ruben was saying it was his performance in the first half that was lacking. But then in the second half, we were a better team because Joshua Zirkzee was doing the other parts of the game, making the runs, holding the ball, winning the headers, helping Manchester United play better because he was better at what he was needing to do and what Ruben wanted from him. He's really pleased for him. I am as well. I love a redemption story, but I'm not going to get carried away by half of football. The point of this video today on this live show is that we're looking ahead to Everton and it's game by game. And Cunha is back. Cunha is fit and available and there for selection. What do we do? I've got a poll in the chat running there right now. I was really intrigued to see where people were at in this. So get involved in the poll, everybody. Get voting on that. Would you start Mount or Zirkzee ahead of Cunha on Thursday? Because this is the thing. It's like you can look at all of the stats and you can look at everything that probably warrants a debate from them stats. And I think Joshua Zirkzee is nowhere near the player that Matheus Cunha is. I don't. I like Matheus Cunha better than Mason Mount. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that Mason Mount has been a better player for us this season than Matheus Cunha. I'm not going to ignore the fact that Joshua Zirkzee, when Šeško comes back, isn't an option ahead of Benjamin Šeško either. Because let's not forget, Benjamin Šeško is due back next week. So he might not be available for Wolves, but I think Benjamin Šeško could be back for the Bournemouth game at Old Trafford. So that's going to be an interesting one. That's 3 games away now. And if Zirkzee continues, does Benjamin Šeško even come back into this side? That's what one half of football has given us selection-wise now. And I'm only talking about this because it's West Ham coming up on Thursday and the game is so close together. Zirkzee could drop off completely again. And this has happened with these players before. So that moment of positivity, can Rúben Amorim now use that and keep a hold of that? You could tell in the way that Ruben was talking in the press conference yesterday that he wasn't fully convinced still. And he still needs to see more. It's all right playing one good half of football, but that's a staple. That's what has to be there as a standard. That's the lowest you can go. The performance levels have to be above that second half performance from Joshua Zirkzee. And this is where it's important now. We'll cling on to this moment for this week. And I say this week because everything changes in the next game. And we might get another Everton performance against West Ham. I said it before the game. We lost to Everton. I'd give him the next 3 games to try and show us that he can get something out of this team. If he went on and beat Palace, West Ham and Wolves, then I could forget about that Everton game. But you're going to have to beat these 3 teams in a row. The toughest game we've done. Crystal Palace away. Man United's record there is appalling. And we have turned the corner in that fixture at least anyway. We took advantage of Palace being in Europe and they got tired in the second half and it really showed. So, yeah, I'm not ignoring the facts that really played a part in that Man United win yesterday. And the goal did change everything. I understand that. So I'm not getting too carried away. But win 1 is in the bag. If we can then beat West Ham and Wolves now, then I can forget about Everton. And that's what I was saying. Part 1 is done. I still need more. I still need to be proven more. But I'm actually seeing real positive signs from that second half performance in them 2 players. And don't get me wrong, Mount has been playing decent all season. I think he's been one of our more consistent players. The odd game here and there. The fact that Mason Mount has been available all season. He's missed 1 game. He's been available all season for us. I think he's been in the squad 12 times this season out of the 13 in the Premier League. So that alone, a third of the season with Mason Mount, which goes to show. Could argue the point there that Ruben might want to manage Mason Mount's minutes and bring him back out of the side. Maybe Mount can't play 2 games in a row. But that's the first time I think Mason Mount's played 90 minutes for Manchester United. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's something else that's a big positive in this also. But look, I'm going to get into the comments now. Get involved into the poll as well. Would you start Mount and Zirkzee over Matheus Cunha? It's an option there for us now. Now that we've got another player there that can do something, who has finally caught up to speed. 90 minutes for Joshua Zirkzee, and we're now starting to see a bit of match sharpness. And what Ruben sees in training is starting to come across in the games as well, which is a real positive for us. So I'm going to scroll through the live chat right now and give me your thoughts on it, please, everybody. I'll just get a couple of super chats out of the way to start off. First one in from Manny. It says, Cunha will start over Zirkzee, playing style, no ability. Zirkzee always will be a must keep for Europe next year as for top 4, it's too early to read into it. March, things tell the story, says Manny. Another one in from Ant here. Thanks for that, Manny pal. We need to stop this damn cycle of he's got X amount of games. All we are doing is feeding the media jackal. Let's just back Ruben till the end. He's got this amount of games. I don't think people are actually saying that. And to be honest, mate, I don't think they are. I think people are actually looking at this and still going off last season. Look, you cannot forget that Everton performance. The only thing that's going to make you forget Everton is by, like I said, beating Wolves and West Ham now. You've done Palace. It's created a bit of a different vibe. It's changed the narrative a little bit. It's 1 defeat in 7. Like I said, all of a sudden, United are comfortably in the running for top 4. We're 3 points off 3rd place again. And we have got winnable games coming up. I said a minute ago, anyone can beat anyone in the Premier League. United should be going into every game thinking we can win it, whether it's a tough team or not. Look, we've beaten Chelsea and Liverpool already this season. We've beaten Brighton this season. All 3 of them teams are ahead of us. We've beaten Sunderland this season, ahead of us. It just goes to show, it doesn't matter who you play. You have to be completely switched on in every single game and you can win it. I think Manchester United, and again, I go back to my excuse of not having European football. The breaks in between games should give United no excuse to challenge this season. Crystal Palace first defeat at home this season, Manchester United. That says it again, doesn't it? We are actually beating decent sides this season in the Premier League, and we've got 2 away wins now. Rúben Amorim finally managing to get a few more away wins under his belts. Look, there's a lot more to prove yet, and it's going to take a bit of consistency for this fan base to be convinced, I feel, and I totally get that, and that is definitely, I think, fair more than anything anyway. I'd start Mount over Cunha because he should earn the place back. One half doesn't change my opinion with Zirkzee though. Completely fair enough on that, Lee. Get that totally. It's a good sign though, isn't it? It's now we've got, if Mbeumo is missing, all of a sudden we're looking at maybe Zirkzee could step in as a replacement 9 for Šeško when we need it. Chop and change Zirkzee and Šeško. We've got options there going forward. And Mbeumo's out, but Cunha can then come in, and you've got Mount as well. You've got Kobbie Mainoo to come in. So all of a sudden, the Mbeumo situation, you're now looking at Kobbie Mainoo to step up like Joshua Zirkzee did when the opportunity comes around, because no Mbeumo and no Ahmad is definitely going to give Kobbie Mainoo time on that pitch. It has to. And then we have to see Mainoo do what Zirkzee did in the second half there against Palace. Yes, shaky start. Doesn't look like he's got it. And no one's convinced by it. But that moment for Zirkzee in the second half could give us an option of rotation more when AFCON kicks in. That's the positive you take from it. He's now seen, well, we've now seen what he can do again. And even if he doesn't start games, you now know that he's going to come on and go, right, okay, I did my bit in them 2 games. Well, in one half of them 2 games. And I'm now seeing it as an option. I can go on that pitch and do that again and maybe get back in this side, because at the moment you're looking between Zirkzee and Šeško. Now that's a different conversation to Matheus Cunha altogether. Onto that in a moment. Let's get a few more comments in. Regardless of what people say about Mount, he's got the experience of the league. That helps a lot. Mount is only 26, by the way. He's supposed to be just coming into his prime right now. Could we really be, if Ruben handles Mason Mount well and brings him back to the Mason Mount that we thought we were getting off Chelsea, could we actually have a real weapon here? Mason Mount, it's like 2 Premier League goals for him now this season. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've got that, and we've got the goals that are being spread around the team now, we've got 21 goals this season. We're right up there, like I said before. Barring that Everton disaster class, United have been really competitive and scoring goals in games, almost averaging 2 goals a game this season up to that Everton game. And it really did derail us and hit our confidence as a fan base, I think. But I still look at the goals being spread out. Yes, Mbeumo has been a massive success for us this season. It's going to be a huge miss. And the fact that we had other players stepping up besides Mbeumo yesterday gives me a little bit of hope. And I'm going to just a tiny little bit of hope. I'm not saying that we're all right. We're not. We're far from it. We're a mile off where we need to be. And I'm happy that Ruben identified that. And that's the one thing I do like about Ruben. He never gets excited about the wins either. He doesn't say that we've turned a corner. This is what we've been working on. You trust the process and all of that. He's saying we've still got a long way to go. He plays it down. He makes sure he keeps everybody's feet firmly on the ground and wants to see more. After every win, he's the same. So the fact that he is a perfectionist in that way gives me a little bit of hope and why I would back him. Look, we've got a long way to go, haven't we, with a lot of these players. But just seeing little glimpses is what we needed to see as a fan base. We need to see little bits of improvement, something to cling on to. And now we're going in after this performance, hoping that Zirkzee can do it again. Because one half of football does not warrant a big relief within the fan base. For instance, like when AFCON comes around, we've got Zirkzee, we're all right now after 45 minutes of football. Not in anyone's mind is that where we're at right now. And I think Ruben has made sure that Zirkzee knows in what he said there. And I think just over these next few games, you just got to try and build on that half of performance. Maybe get a little bit more out of him in the next game. Continue that. Don't go back to the Everton game now against West Ham. Keep that mindset of what was being done in that Crystal Palace game, because they're a big side as well. And Zirkzee was bullied against Everton and then held his own, like he learned against Crystal Palace. And I think that's the important thing to cling on to here as well. There's loads of comments coming in. I'm going to keep getting into these as well now. Front three of Mount, Cunha and Mbeumo would cook, says Wayne with his renewed membership chat there as well. 19 months a member, thank you, Wayne. Absolute legend, mate. Manny has come in and said, we have to take advantage of teams in Europe. We need to build consistency above all while we only have 1 game a week, says Manny. And Sean is in there as well. I was at the game, thought that Zirkzee was shocking in the first half. His first touch to his feet was awful. Lukaku vibes, much improved in the second. Mate, he was absolutely diabolical in that first half. He was an absolute mess, like most Man United players were. We were all over the place. The biggest encouragement from yesterday still has to be the reaction in the second half, at least. Why didn't we get that reaction from the start, though, is probably what most people would say, and I totally agree with that. Why can we not get a comfortable 90 minutes of football out of this side? Look, it is maybe looking at it a bit negatively. We got the win yesterday, and that's what's important, but still, the cracks in the armour are there for everybody to see, and they're the ones that we need to now start to weld together and fix, and I think that is the challenge. That's the big challenge for Rúben Amorim. Consistency and being able to play for 90. I think Mason Mount, in particular this season, deserves praise for the way that he has come into a side where he now is being thought of as one of the first choice picks. We had an abundance of 10s, brought in 2 10s that were better than everybody else from last season, and he's still in there, featuring 10 games this season for Mason Mount and seen as an important player. That's what we wanted, competition for places. That number 10 area, when the likes of Mbeumo and Ahmed come back, wow, we're stacked. And this is the thing just on Kobbie Mainoo, because the picture of Kobbie Mainoo when he was on the sidelines yesterday, when he was coming on, he looked absolutely fed up, didn't he? I'm coming on for 1 minute. That's what it felt. I think he came on, was it the 90th, 91st minute? Is literally, I mean, it's never good, and obviously you're never going to be happy doing that, and his face looked like it. He looked miserable as hell. But he needs to do what Zirkzee did now. If he doesn't perform now in this spell when he's got a chance of featuring, I hope he does. I mean, if he doesn't, then it's game over, innit, for him. It really is. If he doesn't feature while the AFCON is going on, then I don't know where Kobbie Mainoo will ever fit into this side. I really don't. But the fact that he now has to look at this and go, even with Mbeumo and Ahmad out of the side, I'm struggling to get in, shows you that other players have stepped up. Shows you that Mount and Zirkzee are there alongside the likes of Matheus Cunha now and Bryan Mbeumo. Like, there is big competition there. I don't know if he'll feature further back. I prefer Kobbie Mainoo further up the pitch. I think that's the only place he can feature for us. Andrew, thank you for the gifted memberships. What an absolute legend. Please make sure that you do say thank you to Andrew in the chat if you have been given one of them memberships, everybody. Carl is in the chat. He says, Mount is our best player. People won't like that because they don't like him, but he is especially in this system. I mean, I think Mount's energy, his pressing, his tenacity, I think, is definitely something that the other players probably haven't got. You've got to put all of the plus points of each player together and then put them into a team. Mount brings things that Mbeumo and Cunha and Zirkzee wouldn't. The others likewise. It's blending the balance. And I could fully see a front three of Cunha, Mount and Mbeumo for a couple of games. Then Zirkzee steps in, Šeško comes back. At the moment, we've got no idea yet. There's been no announcement on the AFCON situation and when Ahmad and Mbeumo are going to be leaving. But again, yesterday when Mazraoui came in as well in the back three, it goes to show, doesn't it? Mazraoui there steadied the ship at the back. Yoro was having a nightmare, and again, another player that really had a bit of a reality check yesterday. He hasn't been good this season so far, Yoro, and has fallen off a little bit. And I think, again, reality. One good season in a bit of a carnage season when everyone's getting excited. He is a good player, Lenny Yoro, but I think yesterday proved again, like it has in a couple of games, he needs to improve, and we got through that and won the game. Mazraoui is crucial for Manchester United, and I think gets forgotten about because Ahmad and Mbeumo are the shining lights, the creative spark in this side, and they're the ones that we're going to miss. The versatility of Mazraoui for that back three, and that's where he needs to play because he isn't a wing back. I've said it all. How many times have I said it? He came on against Nottingham Forest in a back three, and it freed up Ahmad down the right hand side, and we got the equaliser. He came on. Yes, it was at 1-1, but Rúben seen the problem with Euro and took him off. And obviously we scored while he was stood on the sideline, because that celebration of Mazraoui on the sideline was absolutely epic. I love that. But he is massive for Manchester United, and he will go under the radar, Mazraoui, as a miss for Manchester United because of the other two. But don't forget about the quality that man brings as well. And he adds balance to that right-hand side, because he has got the speed and the intelligence to cover that right-hand side when Ahmad does bomb forward. Mazraoui, Ahmad and Mbeumo down that right-hand side is absolute gold. And that at AFCON is going to be gone. That's the problem for Manchester United. Leacher coming back yesterday was a huge positive in that we have now got another option there. And I think Maguire coming back will also give us more strength at the back and could see us through this spell of AFCON. Squad depth, squad quality is what was necessary at Manchester United. And a couple of our squad players have just stepped up and given us that little bit of hope. And that's what yesterday brought for me. It did. I'll be controversial here. Mazraoui is our best attacking centre-back. I don't think he's our best attacking centre-back because he's useless going forward, mate. I know useless is probably a stronger word there, but I don't think he's as good as De Ligt going forward. I don't think he's as good as Mazraoui. And obviously, when you're coming and talking about attacking centre-backs, no one can ignore the importance of the goals of Harry Maguire. I'm sorry on that one. I'll have to disagree on that, man. Thanks for the super chat, my man. I really appreciate that. Crystal Palace had not lost a home game in 12 Premier League games until Manchester United rolled into town. Can we use that as a little bit of momentum? That's what we're talking about here. Mr. Dacia Sandero says that we have to remember that Euro is only 20. Both he and Heaven could be our shining centre-back pairing in the future. Mazraoui should have started this game. That's my worry about Amorim's team selections. Worries are always going to be there. At least we cannot say that Ruben Amorim's in-game management yesterday was bad. That was probably his best and most influential in-game management, because the reaction at half-time, the substitutes were bang on the money. I thought it definitely influenced the game yesterday and added that calming sort of influence to Manchester United's performance. Keep them comments coming in on that. We'll have a bit more on this as we go through. Obviously, I want to get through the other news as well. In terms of the transfer news, now we were hearing obviously that João Gomez isn't on Manchester United's radar according to Ornstein. He is according to Fabrizio Romano. We'll let that play out. But Conor Gallagher definitely is on Manchester United's radar. And there is another story going around again this morning. It came out later last night about Manchester United's Ruben Amorim, the head coach, Manchester United, Rúben Amorim, saying that he would take Conor Gallagher, or has basically given the green light to taking Conor Gallagher. It's going to cost 26 million quid to take Conor Gallagher. And I don't know if United could get this with a loan to option to obligation, whatever it may be. Atletico Madrid are pushing for the actual full sale of Conor Gallagher. So it's whether or not Manchester United look at that as a shrewd investment. People would obviously put Mason Mount in the same category. A Chelsea reject is what he's been called. But yesterday, no one was complaining about Mason Mount, was there? Again, Conor Gallagher is a very, very similar sort of player. Could play the number 8 role a bit better. Conor Gallagher on for Bruno Fernandes as a number 8. And Bruno push forward into the 10. I would like that combination. I think most people would think that Conor Gallagher was going to play next to Bruno Fernandes, but Gallagher is more of an 8 type of player. He's got the energy to do it. I think you might get a bit more sensible football out of Conor Gallagher, but Bruno Fernandes, I think, showed yesterday again, particularly in the second half. He was very, very calming, I thought, for Manchester United yesterday. First half, erratic. Everyone was erratic in the first half. But I'm thinking Bruno Fernandes further up the pitch again is showing why he is so important to us in them little moments. I know the assist, laying it off for Mount, I don't care for that. That's not an assist. And I'm not going to count that to Bruno's assists. But what was important yesterday was that assist for Joshua Zirkzee. The vision to play that ball in. And United clearly working on set pieces as well. So yeah, you've got to look at that. You've got to look at the set piece side of thing. We'll come on to that in a minute. But again, just quick thoughts on Conor Gallagher and bringing him into midfield. If it meant that it pushed Bruno Fernandes back into a 10, for instance, rather than it being Gallagher and Bruno, would you go with that? Would Gallagher be a better number 8 for Manchester United? Again, though, it brings up the conversation about Kobbie Mainoo's time at Manchester United and whether or not he's actually going to survive this. Because the more talk of players coming in obviously leads to the more talk of Kobbie Mainoo leaving Manchester United, because he wants game time. He's a young player. He wants to keep on playing. That's totally fine. But I don't see him featuring in the long run for Manchester United. It's not to bring up the negatives. I would love to see Kobbie Mainoo compete, but in the areas that he's competing in this formation, he does not stand a chance. I'm sorry, he doesn't. The 10s are all ahead of him. The 8s we're going to bring in abundance in the summer. So if he does stay at United, because Ruben Amorim's got this big plan for him, I've got no idea what Ruben Amorim's plan is for him. I think we have to accept the inevitable right now. Unless Kobbie, like we said at the top of the show, does something like what Joshua Zirkzee did. You have to make yourself undroppable. He hasn't done that yet. He hasn't had the chance to. Fair. And the only reason I'm bringing Kobbie up right now, because it isn't really a conversation to have after what happened yesterday, is because of this news on Conor Gallagher that United would go for him. I think he would be a better 8 for Manchester United than Bruno. It frees Bruno up. Now, I don't know how Ruben would work it, and I'm not confident he would play Conor Gallagher there, but just think, when you need to change things and need to have another option, and you've got a squad player for 26 million that is comfortable in that position in this league, I think it's a shrewd investment. I think very, very sensible investment as well for Manchester United. I think what we've got to look at here is, I think in terms of what Ruben can use, I think is more important, I feel. Let's get some more comments in on everything that is going on. There's a few super chats in as well. Stu has become 21 months a member. Wow. That is longevity right there. Legend Stu, the mod, has just renewed it. In his comment there, he says, big up Kaz. The Kaz trick on the win yesterday. Yes, so United won yesterday. Then they had to shoot straight off to Winton Ladies game. And Kaz was the star of the show. A hat-trick in a 3-0 win, and we're up the table, we're moving, we're onwards and upwards. So it was a fantastic day yesterday for me. Thanks for bringing that up, Stu, mate. Yes, Kaz trick, it was yesterday, absolutely smashed it. Good day. Manny with another super chat. Thank you, Manny. Mainoo loaned out in January, let the lad play and grow for a year. Everyone wins. United might look at that as a value-adding exercise. Absolutely wants Gomez in Jan, need depth in. We don't need 8s or 10s. Get us Gomez. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's what's available and who you can actually bring in January. That's the only reason we're really talking about Conor Gallagher. Because if Ornstein says that there is no conversations going on between Man United and Wolves, then we have to take that as pretty much, well, yeah, there isn't. Then there is that conversation about, obviously, Fabrizio Romano and him saying that there are conversations going on. But look, again, it's all about what's available, and if United want to spend the money on that particular playoff, is he worth it? Is he going to be a player that we would have bought in the summer? I like Gomez, I do. I think he's going to go to a big club at the end of this season. It might be an option for Manchester United. It might be. You just don't know, do you? We'll keep an eye on it. We do have another poll running right now. Thoughts on Rúben Amorim? Keep him, still want him gone. Keep him 82%. It's easy to say that after a win, isn't it? It changes completely. Still want him gone is 18% though, which is a fair chunk. If you want to have your say on that, get into the poll as well, everybody. We're only bringing that up because there was such a big slide towards Ruben out after the Everton game. Again, that result really did hit and affect a lot of Man United fans and completely demoralised anybody's hopes. But I feel like the performance in the second half against Crystal Palace has just brought us back up a little bit. It's nowhere near where we need to be, don't get me wrong, but it's just given us something just to cling on to, and I think that is where we're at right now, and that might influence the poll. Let's get some more comments in. Gomez and Semenyo in January. Mainu and Agate out in January, Adam. And no one will take Agate, and United won't get rid of 2 central midfielders for 1. Definitely not, Andy. I see where you're going, and in the summer, you might be bang on the money, Andy, with that one. Paqueta got a red card and he will be out of United's game on Thursday versus West Ham. He will. Man, what was wrong with that guy? We'll talk more about that in Football Talks live straight after this live show, everybody. So we're going to be live again on Football Talks right after this. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button on FT as well. Football Talks, my other channel, where we're talking about everything else in the Premier League. Cal says, we still really struggle for open play chances. We're nothing yesterday. Zirkzee makes that goal himself and free kick. Apart from that next to nothing created, it can't carry on like that. But the importance of set pieces are there in the Premier League. Look at Arsenal. Look at what they have done and how that has propelled them forward and given them confidence. Yes, open play needs to get better, but Manchester United are leading the way in set-piece goals this season. This is something that we all bemoaned last season. And now it's here. We're trying to, ignore it? Or say that it's not as important? I'm not saying that Cal said that, by the way. But you can just feel it. You just feel like, right, okay, when we do one thing right, we find something else to moan about. I would just use Arsenal as an example. Set-piece FC Arsenal. But look where they are now. Goals change games. And set pieces can give the team confidence to go on and perform better in game. That's it. Look what happened yesterday. Set piece, nice ball in from Bruno Fernandes, lovely take and an absolutely stupendous finish from Joshua Zirkzee. He did make that goal himself in terms of the finish. I didn't see it coming, but wow. Yeah, bamboozled Henderson and thank you very much. But set pieces change games just like individual brilliance on a pitch. I'd rather Manchester United be scoring from set pieces because that's something that we've worked on in training than someone doing some piece of individual brilliance because they need to. I think a set piece is still more of a team effort and something you can clearly see that has been, like I said, worked on rather than someone just picking out the ball and having a crazy goal or scoring a fantastic goal. Them goals are great, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they are just one-offs. Set pieces are part of this game, and I think if you don't have set pieces in your arsenal, then you are going to struggle. And I think Rúben Amorim said this after the game as well. If you are not taking advantage of set pieces, then you are going to fall down the table. And 10 goals for Manchester United this season now from set pieces. I like it because we didn't do it before. We just weren't doing it. We just didn't have it in us. And we now look a threat. We now look dangerous and we're actually seeing differences. Just Bruno laying a ball off to Mason Mount. When would that have happened in previous years? I looked at that and I thought Bruno's going to hit this straight away. The fact that he laid it off to Mason Mount on its own is amazing for me. It just goes to show that Ruben is getting in, I think, to some of these plays. It's not all about you. It's not all about your record and your performances. It's the team effort that I think is more important, that Ruben's trying to get into this. And look, we're a mile off it. Absolute mile off it still. And I'm not going to get absolutely carried away with it. But I do think we made strides in the second half yesterday. And set-piece goals are massive for us. Set pieces are huge. And we need to take advantage more of them. We need to stop sacking managers and start holding the players accountable. The lack of intensity in the first half was terrible, and the players are the ones who need to put in the effort. True, very true, and they did, thankfully. Maybe that was with the kick up the arse from Ruben at half-time, which does bode well as well. Amorim hasn't got a plan for him, and keeping him from a loan is a shameful way to treat someone who's been at the club 11 years and done everything for the club. Has he done everything for the club? I mean, Andrew, I get where you're going there. 11 years in an academy. Because you're an academy player, it doesn't warrant a place in the first team and give you the right to play ahead of other players that are showing more. I get where you're going with that there, and I get the angle on Rúben Amorim. But if Mainu isn't good enough, it doesn't matter if he's an academy player. It does not matter. So, it's, again, I'm gutted for the lad, but he still hasn't done enough. I don't know why people are trying to defend the Kobbie Mainoo situation. Manchester United are in a better position this season than we were last season without Kobbie Mainoo in the starting lineup. I mean, the table never lies. It can change and it can fluctuate, and I know that's just an off-the-cuff comment from me, and I don't want to see Kobbie Mainoo out this side. I actually think that he needs to show more when he comes on and show Rúben Amorim that he needs to play. I think in that City game when he came on, that was the moment, and I will hold that against Rúben. Like, he actually showed that he had qualities in that game. And I think even Kobbie Mainoo wanted to prove a point at that point. Kobbie right now just, for me, looks like a player that's sort of given up a little bit. And you could argue the point, just to be devil's advocate here, that Rúben needs to manage that better and get something out of him. And we'll see if that comes about. He might have his Zirkzee moment. So, yeah. What did we all think of Adam Wharton yesterday, by the way? I think controlling and composure, I think he actually showed that in abundance yesterday. He looked tired. I think, obviously, double game week affecting him. I would like him in my side. I like the way that guy... He doesn't have that power, the pace, like other midfielders. But that guy has got football intelligence and some, hasn't he? There's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me on this, but I thought Adam Wharton was good yesterday. I think he faded, obviously, like I said, but I thought he was good. I would love him in my team. Adam, my mates, Arsenal will still bottle it. We'll talk about Arsenal on Football Talks after this, actually. Interesting conversation coming up about the Premier League and the title race anyway. Adam, do you get more super chats the morning after a win, making it a win-win? Lemons is a revolution. I no longer feel sick when the other team attacks. Hey, the atmosphere is up. Kaz has just sent me a message now. The difference in the poll today compared to after the Everton game, it's crazy what football games do to you. Wins, goals, points make prizes. Points keep people in jobs. And right now, Rúben is doing enough, I think more than enough in Ineos's eyes, to stay in this job right now. He really does. Thank you, Sean, by the way. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, everyone who has obviously super chatted this morning. It does feel good. We are low on the likes, though, everybody. Come on, that should be well over 200 because United won against Crystal Palace, something that nobody thought was coming, including us. Well, I did say 1-0 United, but obviously that was just out of hope more than anything. And I'll admit that, and I always will be honest with you when I'm giving my opinions on where they've come from. I felt like United needed a result and we'd just go out and get it. And only through that second half performance did we. Thank God, anyway, because I did not want, because I was getting a load of crap in the chat in the watch long yesterday. Adam, are you still backing Ruben Amorim now? And I'm sat there and I'm taking pelters and there's no way out of it for me. I'm hiding behind the pillow, literally, waiting to be completely finished off. And I was dreading it. But I thought, you know what, I'll leave the afternoon out and then we'll come back in the morning and see how everybody feels about it. And I think I've come back this morning, and I think I feel balanced and I feel like I'm being reasonable with where we're at and what's happened. I'm not getting overexcited by that win. I did say after the Everton game, go and win the next 3 and convince me that you can turn this around. I want to see a reaction. Part 1 is done. And it's only a third of the way through what I'm going to need to actually think that we were back to where we was after that Brighton win, which was where I was probably the highest in my expectations for the team this season. I thought after that game I was really upbeat and thinking that we could go somewhere. But obviously after what's happened, that 2 draws, then that defeat to Everton, a win was massive yesterday for Manchester United, just to bring us back around again, I thought. But it was good to see a little bit more positivity. Wharton was class yesterday. Wharton didn't impress me yesterday. I love football opinion, it's great. Wharton was better than our centre midfield by a mile, says Carl. Honestly, this is what I looked at. I seen Wharton dominating the game in that first half yesterday. And obviously, like I said, tiredness kicks in, goals change games. United took advantage from set pieces, and you have to work on every aspect of your game. But in terms of overall ball play, I thought Wharton he knows where to be. He is always in the right position, and that is gold in football. You can talk about strength, you can talk about pace. If you read a game, you don't need any of them. you don't need any of them. Look what Mazraoui did on Mateta. How he used that small frame of his compared to Mateta's to just get in the way. You don't need to be an absolute monster. Yes, it helps in certain moments, but if you've got footballing IQ and you're intelligent, then all of that comes second. You just need to know where to be and read the game. If you read the game, you're there. That is the biggest part in football. And Adam Wharton has that in abundance. I thought he was very, very good yesterday for Crystal Palace. And subtly went unnoticed, I thought. But give me that man any day of the week in that midfield. He's the closest thing I've seen, and I don't usually like doing comparisons to Manchester United players and legends of yesteryear, but Michael Carrick, my God, that's him. That's the closest I can see in modern day football compared to Carrick. Brilliant. Just breezes through the game. And it just picks out the right pass every single time. Every single time. Kaz was talking to me yesterday as well. It's a great point to make. Me and James were talking about it a bit. Credit to Luke Shaw yesterday for that aggressive defending, particularly in the first half. I thought Luke Shaw definitely made crucial tackles and blocks when we needed it. And I thought Shaw was decent again yesterday. And good to see Lisandro Martinez coming back in as well. That's another option now. So keeping everybody on their toes. We talked about Zirkzee making a point. Now Martinez is back. What do Manchester United do in the defence? Does Luke Shaw continue? And Luke Shaw with competition has always performed. And I think that is now... Well, that's really good news for Manchester United because it just keeps everyone playing for their positions. Look what Mazraoui did when he came on. Leach and now will have to do the same on the likes of Luke Shaw. You've got Maguire then and De Ligt. Like options. That's the positive that we've got right now. Debbie says Cunha in on Thursday. Would you bring Cunha straight into the side, everybody? That was something we was talking about at the top of the show. Does he come right in? Rest Casemiro for West Ham. He needs a break. Play Agate or Mainu. We have to use the squad. I would not play either of them. I would just play Casemiro for a certain amount of minutes and then bring in the likes of Mainu or Agate, sorry. That, I think, is interesting because we talked about managing Mason Mount's minutes, didn't we, earlier on as well? He played 90 minutes. Obviously, Casemiro too, and we've got a double game week for the first time this season since the Carabao Cup game. I don't see it being wholesale changes like it was then, but maybe Deborah has got a good point there. There needs to be a bit of rotation this week against West Ham, just to freshen things up maybe. So, yeah, I think that does come into it as well. It definitely does. It wasn't Deborah who said that, sorry, it was someone else. Deborah was just saying bringing Cunha in. I get it. I get everyone's points on that. I am looking forward to seeing what Manchester United do now against West Ham. And if we actually react from this performance against Crystal Palace, the second half performance that is. I keep mentioning the second half because I cannot say that was a 90-minute performance for Man United. And everyone knows why. Everyone knows why on that one. Don't forget, everybody, we are going to be jumping across to Football Talks in just a minute. I've just pinned up Stu's link there in the chat. That is the channel we're going to be going across and going over all of the games in the Premier League in a moment. Talking about Manchester United's chances of top four, actually, and how the whole title race is panning out right now as well. It is getting very, very interesting at the top and is there for anybody to take. Off that, now we are officially a third of the way through the season, everybody. Where are United finishing? I'm going to finish with this quickly today. Bang in your comments quickly, everybody. Let's go mad now. Give me a position where you think United are going to finish. We're a third of the way through. I think it's enough time to say and gauge where United are at. We've had the high, we've had the low again. Have we just popped our head back up again? And can we actually now use that as a bit of momentum going forward and finish high? Let's not forget, Manchester United are already... I've got half the amount of wins that we did in the entirety of all of last season. That's madness. That is madness. Ray with the super chat says, I'll be at the game for West Ham. If I see you, I'll buy you a beer. Ray, you legend, mates. Love that. We might have to do something on one of these games to meet up. I know we're doing on a Boxing Day, but we'll have to try and sort something out, I think. A few positions finishing here. 5th, top 6, 6th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 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 2nd. Top 4, 5th or higher, 4th, 4th. Literally every single comment there is guaranteed Manchester United make European football next season, which is the important part in all of this, isn't it? We need Europe. Europa League, I hope it's Champions League. If we can get 5th, we're getting into Europe. We're getting in the Champions League. That's the important bit. We are now 7th in the league, 3 points off 3rd. If we beat West Ham, God knows where it will be. Don't forget, this week we play after everybody else has played. We're the last game on Thursday. There's games tomorrow. There's games on Wednesday. We're going to be doing a bit of a rival watch this week, a watch along on the channel as well for one of our rival games. I think we're going to pick out that Liverpool game against Sunderland. Could be interesting, that one. Maybe an opportunity opens up for United after some other teams dropping points. We will see. But that is our show this morning, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump across to Football Talks now. Thank you for all the likes. Please give the video a like on the way out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you all over on Football Talks. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Super Chats. You are all absolute legends. I love you all. Let's head over to Football Talks now and continue the chat.